Hey guys, and welcome to the stream. Cheers! Hey you guys! You crazy motherfuckers. Wait a minute. Okay. Let me read this until the end. Jesus Christ. Okay, final point. Oops. Oof. Jesus Christ. Usefulness with 1L. Practicality with 1L, I think. Oh yeah, too many L's. Oh wait, I don't have chat. Jesus Christ. Just a sec. I actually don't have chat. Yikes. Oops. How can I get this right now? Like this? Strange that like on multi-stream they weren't like fucking showing that. What's up? Yo. Welcome to the stream. Hey man, people, what is the topic of today's discussion? The discussion was... What was it? Can I summarize this? Actually, I can, instead of summarizing myself, I can just like ask for it. Okay. Can you summarize what have we been talking about for the past 3 hours? Give me some topics. Skynet scum? I don't know what you're referring to, dude. Sorry. Yes, even though the conversation branched into many directions, there are a handful of recurring themes that kept reappearing. Whether sameness or repetition actually exists. Oh, I guess like this is like what was like one of the topics. Whether sameness or repetition actually exists. That is one of them. Another one was whether categories exist. Then the third one is language and meaning. Another one is communication versus parallel interpretation. I can agree that that's what we were talking about. Also observer dependence. Also the dependence of results on methods. Critique of objective knowledge. Yeah. Objects and boundaries. Cause and effect. Meaning, usefulness, functionality. Jesus Christ, that's a lot. What the fuck? Human understanding itself. Your role in the discussion. Oh my god. Man, that is a lot of shit. Terminator? That's from Terminator? Yeah, I don't remember anything from Terminator. Like literally zero. Apart from just like Arnold Schwarzenegger being like the Terminator and going around like and fighting, you know? That's all I fucking remember. Why I don't see this chat? This is so fucking stupid. Okay. I'm just gonna like turn it off. Like if you guys are like on YouTube, then I'm just gonna like keep that. We're just gonna like get the chat from YouTube and that's it. And I'm just gonna see the chat from YouTube. I wanted to ask you like Andrew, do you still like feel like the whole like cable joke is it like still funny to you? Like I just wonder, you know, about that part. It's kind of like as if it's like, how to say this, it's like you keep mentioning sometimes. Oh, okay. Because for me, I tried to like make some jokes like in the past few times about it, and I just can't seem to think of any. You like the absurdness of like cable man, or like somebody having like a cable instead of a dick. Yeah, I get it, man. I get it. That is kind of funny, you know. Being cable nated is whenever, you know, like a cable enters your anus hole and it starts to, you know, like a fucking and it starts to wiggle or something. I don't know. Cable for nose hair. Cable is a friend. Cable as cable. How about that? Crazy idea, right? Cable as cable, guys. Whoa. Table made from cables. Cable made from cables. Cable TV. It's funny whenever like we say absurd shit or some kind of like nonsense about the cable shit, and we just like play with words, and then we introduce, like Mon does, and he introduce, I don't know how it's called in humor, but he goes back to something that does make sense, and somehow it makes it funny. I don't know how that's called in humor, but I'm pretty sure there's like a name for it too. Because there's like a bunch of like things, or there's like a bunch of like words that kind of like explain the mechanics of how to make like a joke, or like how humor works, you know. Cable TV. Also saturation, right? You flood yourself with absurd shit than regular stuff, yeah. It's like you slide that shit in, and it's like, and it catches you by surprise. You think that like nothing like with cable is gonna like be funny again, and then like after like a bunch of like mundane, like boring ass stuff about the cable, but you say something that's like regular and understandable, and just like the contrast is getting you. Yeah. Is he cableable enough? Yes. So there has been like many topics, honestly, like throughout the day. Coca cable, yeah. Cable cock. Cable cock is someone who is a cock, but only he lets his cable to be used by another person. How about that? Did I pause this? No. Did I fucking eat something? Jesus Christ, that face. Oh, this shit is funny. How to write an email, 90s tutorial, Skycorp home video. This shit was funny. I don't know if you guys like have watched this, but this is kind of, I like this shit. Subtle. Okay. I'll actually check the like that phrase. It's not like I didn't hear it before, but like I kind of like got what it meant. But then I read it and I'm like, oh, okay. It's some pretty biased bullshit. Shortest summary. If I had to compress the entire discussion into a few sentences, which is fucking ridiculous, because we've been like talking for hours, in kind of like in general. You repeatedly questioned whether people are justified in treating categories, objects, meanings, communication patterns, repetition, knowledge, causation, and distinctions as objectively real. You argued that closer examination tends to dissolve claims of sameness, shared meaning, and objective understanding, while revealing dependence on perspective, methods, assumptions, and human interpretation. The discussion kept returning to the gap between what people claim exists and what can actually be justified about those claims. It's kind of shitty summary. I mean, it's a summary. Like, how the fuck can you compress hundreds of pages of fucking information into this? You don't. That's the thing. Like, you just don't. Okay. Ooh. Let's stop that shit. Okay, like, Mon, I wanted to talk, and you provided, like, some, like, you basically said, can I, like, present, like, your last, like, comments about gravity or something like that, and then I can, like, talk about it? Can I kind of, like, present it on stream? Of course I can keep it to myself, you know, like, it doesn't really matter that much to me, but, like, you know, to kind of like start it off from somewhere. No, share it? Well, it depends on him. Mon? Redeemer? Basically, if you last things that you've said, you know, in Discord. I can summarize it here, don't have to share. I said, I don't think infinity actually exists, like how they claim black holes have infinite gravity. You also said something about gravity too. Not just like about like the infinite gravity, but maybe there was something else about gravity. Yeah. The questions that immediately appear, it's like, what constitutes infinity, right? What, how can you measure infinity? Or how can you say that something is infinity if infinity basically kind of like, based on what it is, kind of like, whether you can encapsulate something that's infinity, in a sense. That was just of it. I also said if something is truly infinite, it shouldn't exist in an infinite space, in a finite space. In a finite space, since the universe itself can't be actually infinite, even if it's expanding. Okay. And I just wanted to like to talk about gravity in general, because like gravity is the assumption that there are like, let's say there are like two objects and one is like pulling the other, you know, in a sense, like there's like a force, right? But the problem with it that I have, in a sense, or the holes that I see in this logic, is that supposedly you actually have yourself like a two objects that are whole, you know, and then one is basically saying that like that something artificial term. What do you mean by that? Basically, like what do you mean by that, and how do you understand what the scientists are saying about like the black hole? Like what do they kind of like try to say, or like how do you feel, like what do you think they mean by what they're saying about the black hole? It might be counted, but they should say unmeasurable instead of infinity. I find it misleading saying something is actually infinite. I get that. The same kind of like situation or similar situation was whenever like a group of people said that like the simulation of our universe is impossible, like mathematically or in some way it's impossible. Like they have like as if like proven that. So they have like as if proven that like simulating our universe is impossible, and therefore we are not living in a simulation. And they were kind of like as if like more or less like making the same mistake, if you can call it a mistake, where they're basically saying that like, oh hey, we don't know how to do this, and therefore we treat it as if it's impossible. It's just a concept with no real physical proofs. Is it possible at all? Well, that's the thing, like, see, like, if we examine, like, infinity, right, and we examine finite as both, like, opposing concepts, the problem with each one of those concepts is, like, understanding, like, what constitutes finite. Because in every presentation of finite, the question is like, is something really finite in this kind of like in this presentation? You know, like let's say like if someone says like, oh, there's like this amount of like, I don't know, like planets in our system, and they're talking about like, you know, like a concrete as if like number of planets in our system, you know, and there's like a finite number of them in our system. But the problem with this, like with this, let's say like presentation of finite, right, is that basically like they're saying, let's say like as if like this is the number of planets that we have, and this is objectively true, but the problem is that like it's not that people actually know how big the system is. Like the way they understand what the system is, or its boundaries, or like how big it is, and where it ends, where it begins, is just like, that's the thing, it's human understanding. So like whenever like they try to say that like something is like finite, As creatures, we are border with our biology. Are we even capable of understanding something like infinity? But whenever you use the word understanding, what do you mean by that? Like, as if like an objective truth about something like infinity can be grasped? And also the question is like, is the concept of infinity even an existing concept? What does the concept even mean, you know? The concept basically implies, as if you're saying that there's like one solid thing and it has like the property of infinity in it, you know? But whenever you examine this like one solid thing or something that you perceive as one, the question is always, is it one? Is it like whole? You know? I doubted killing people already struggle imagining huge numbers, let alone infinity, but I think thinking of infinity as numbers or amounts is probably not the right way to do it either. There are real-life jellyfish that are immortal, they say. They go from old age back to baby stage, and they can repeat this many times. Is that an example of infinity? If I would answer that question, I would say that like that's not an example of infinity. That's an example of like time not being what people like understand what it is. People believe like in growth and decay, and I disagree with that belief. You know, as if like we're moving in a certain direction, and we just like as if like we grow and then we decay, or things grow and then they decay, or like as if like they stabilize and then they're like unstable. But that like fact about like jellyfish, that's like, you know, like an actual thing. So it's like they, wow, that's interesting, dude. Yeah, it's hard in general for me at least to imagine what infinity could even mean or look like. Yeah. And that's why like the question is like, you know, like what is this like infinity concept? You know, why it exists, and what exactly does it do? Is it just like some kind of word that is like functional within a conversation, in a sense that like for the other person to understand what we're trying to say, or and that's all that it is, right? Or is it as if like functional, or it can be functional beyond that, you know? Because I can say that like, yeah, I agree to the fact that like something is useful, let's say like in a language, at least for people to start talking about something, to kind of like to indicate what the conversation is about, you know? So you kind of like as if like pinpoint what are we like examining, like what are we discussing. It's hard at least to imagine that infinity is the concept for managing huge numbers like sand particles on the beach. Am I wrong? Yes, you can say that like, oh, it's like infinite, but then like what constitutes kind of like for a sand particle? Let's say like you say like sand particle, but like what does that mean? What fits into the category of sand particle? But let's say like just like infinity again, like is like functional. Oh, Gorgan on YouTube. Hey, welcome. Hey guys, say hello to Gorgan. It's probably another person who's like going to offer me his services. Dude, I'm interested. I'm interested. If only you can send me like you know, some feedbacks of your mom, you know. Yeah. Anyways, what was I going to say? I'm from Massachusetts. That's an interesting a way of looking at it too. I just see like infinity, you know, as just like a useful thing whenever, let's say, as you know, as Zakadna Putkadnoi said, basically like the implication is like whenever is some numbers are not manageable for us, then we want to use the word infinity. That's it. It's not about like infinity actually being infinity or infinity as if like being applicable. It's about like, oh hey, I cannot count this, and like the calculator is not gonna help, and therefore I just say infinity. Yes, if you could count sand particles one by one, all of it on Earth that can feel like an infinite time or eternal. So again, infinity is may not amount of may not be maybe not amount of something, but rather your perspective or of something. Your name is Armin, by the way. Oh, hey. Welcome to the stream, Armin. So something can feel infinite, but not actually be infinite. You can have those situations with people. A some particle is an elementary phase structure like a molecule, but more complexly organized, in your opinion? No, okay. But the thing is that, like, you know, like every you know, like let's say like whenever like people like talk about like molecules, or whenever like scientists talk about molecules or atoms, you know, the problematic thing is already like seeing as if like a molecule, as whenever they say like the word molecule, it's already like perceived as if like that's like one whole thing. But if we take like the word of scientists as like, you know, as if like they actually know something, that they're also saying, oh, a molecule is comprised out of atoms, right? So it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, yes, Kellen, perhaps like prisoners in isolation cells, they lose sense of time and days and go nuts, so it feels eternal for them being there. Yeah, I can say that. There can just be like a situation whenever like let's say like something is going to be manageable for you and you won't be able to say that it's infinite, but someone else will. So, yeah. It's not that the feelings are objective. It's just about like how, you know, it kind of like shows like how something is kind of like changing across perceptions of individuals. The topic? There was not an actual topic, I would say. From India. Yikes. Oh, the topic, maybe the topic was like about like black hole, but like I wasn't even like talking about black hole, but what I was trying to say is that like I wanted to address like the whole like gravity situation, because that seems like something that is prevalent in all kinds of like parts of like science, in all kinds of like sciences or whatever the fuck, you know, like in physics, you know, like it doesn't matter whether they're talking about molecules or they're talking about like atoms, you know, gravity or magnetism plays like a big part in it. From India previously, he was decent. What do you think about string theory? Explain to me string theory, and I'll tell you what I think about it. What do I think about it? Because I remember talking about it, but like I forgot that conversation. Like honestly. Like you would have to, or I can check it out. I can check it out. Let's, okay, string theory. Let's see. String theory is a theoretical framework in physics where fundamental point-like particles are replaced by tiny, one-dimensional strings of energy. Okay? By vibrating at different frequencies, these strings manifest as the different particles and forces like gravity in our universe. It serves as a proposed theory of everything to unite quantum mechanics and general relativity. I heard of string stuff. It's like super tiny particles that look like hairs that vibrate in different ways, and those vibrations create particles like atoms or something. They also claim the string stuff is 1D, as in one-dimensional. The problem is like viewing as if like dimension or something being one-dimensional or any dimension, as if that's like something objective. For dimensions to even be like you know, talked about, you need like, first of all, you need like a point in space, like an objective point in space. Yeah, good one, man. Good one. It's like a theory, but I'm playing a guitar. I'm playing like a musical instrument. Yes. That's exactly it. Does string theory help us in our previous discussion about solid objects like walls? I don't know. What do you think about it? What do you think about string theory? I also don't know like the situation with string theory currently. Is it viewed as just like a theory, or is it viewed as if like it's viewed as like the new model for how we understand kind of like what things consist of, you know? Yes. You're hearing the accent clearly. I am Slavic. Okay, the core concept. Instead of elementary particles like electrons or quarks being infinitesimally small dots, string theory proposes there are minuscule vibrating strings. Just as a violin string can create different musical notes depending on how it vibrates, a fundamental string produces different particles, electron, quark, graviton, based on its vibrational states. When physicists try to merge the subatomic world, quantum mechanics, with the large-scale world of space and time, general relativity, the math typically breaks down. String theory naturally incorporates gravity into the quantum realm, making it a prime candidate for a unified theory of physics. Interesting. If light can go through a wall, that should be proof it's solid, no? Who says that light can't go through a wall? What is light? Is light actually not present in a wall or in any elements already? Who can confirm that? Tried burning the wall with my laser. It's like to say, like, let's say, like, that light is only as if like hitting the surface of like objects, is to say that you definitely understand what light is, and you understand how it like it interacts with the supposed like environment of like of some element or like some object. Question to you guys. How do you think color works if we're talking about lights? And whenever we're examining like different elements, how do you think light works? Or like color works? Like, why do we see like different colors whenever it's like different elements? As far as I know, light is just waves traveling from a light source, like the sun or a lamp, or multiple sources. The question is always this: where exactly is the source? Another thing, the question is like, is it like a group of light particles that is actually traveling, and this group is getting from one point to another point, and as if it's like not interacting with the immediate environment, and it moves like in a concrete certain direction. It's not about like, you know, it's not about like walls made out of lights. It's about me saying, I'm asking like, do scientists understand what light is? Do they actually understand it? And the question is light present in all kinds of things like constantly? Can people actually prove that light is not present in things right now, you know? But like whenever like you feel or you see that things go dark and there's like no no light anymore, right? Let's say like in the room. Is the light not actually present anymore? I think yes, they travel, but they don't have a destination. They just travel the direction they were shot at or something, or they bounce and go elsewhere or get absorbed by plants. How do you see, guys, the situation with light traveling from other stars, you know, across like the universe or whatever, like, and kind of like reaching like this destination? You know, ask yourselves, like, is it really like a group of particles or light particles or something like that, like a group of them that is traveling from point A of one star, and as if like on the way, that's the thing, like it's not empty space. Vacuum is not empty space, you know? Would it actually get here? Would light from another star actually get here? That's the question. It's not about like what we observe, you know, and we understand as if basically like what we understand it as if that's the case, but about like what it actually is, you know? They also say light has no mass, zero mass, but how come light gets bent around neutron stars that have extreme gravity are sucked into black holes, hence their name? Whereas the space itself that gets curved and light just merely uses that space to travel like a track or a road. You know, the problem with me, like for me in general, with any of these concepts is already like the point that there's distance to travel. Why light is a particle and not a wave? Who knows? It's this for the scientists to figure out, if anything, because like they're the ones who are like, oh, like in this situation it behaves like a particle, and in this situation it's like a wave, you know? So basically, based on some criteria or some understanding, it's a wave and a particle, you know, as if like it's both. Or neither, who knows? Also, if it's like, if it would be a wave, then the question is like, what is the wave comprised of? Whenever people talk about waves, the question is like, what the hell do they mean by wave? But I question space, distance, I question speed. You know, I question the fact like whether, you know, whether anything travels at all. It's like we can perceive as if there's like distance, as if like light travels, but what if it doesn't travel? What if light is already here? What if light is already here, you know, and it doesn't travel? Is Gordgan like your friend Andrew? I just wonder about that. Is that your buddy? You can say like here as if how to say this? Here as if like, let's say like it's about like human observation, right? So if we believe that we're here in this place that we're at, and we observe light as if like traveling from point A, the sun, to point B, where we are, And that's what I'm saying, you know, like as if like light is already present here, as if like it doesn't travel at all. It's not about it being fast, it's about it not even traveling. So you're saying light has been here all this time, but it only appears when you look at it? What about darkness? What constitutes for darkness? How much light is in the darkness? Where darkness actually is darkness, and where is there like a little bit of light? The question is like whether the light particles or waves or whatever the fuck, do they actually disappear or dissipate? You know? It's like you have to examine like a particular like environment, right? Where you somehow would be able to evaluate whether there's any light in that environment at all. See? But the thing is that like if light actually would be how scientists say it is, then the question is like how light as a wave or as a particle or something really, really small wouldn't be able to interact inside and out with objects or materials or elements or anything at all. Anything like smaller than an atom, right? If like an element is like comprised of atoms, why would a light particle would not be able to interact, or as if like, you know, go into and just like interact with the whole like system of a particular object, you know? Darkness is absence of light in general, but true darkness is, I don't know, because for what we perceive as dark, a regular house cat can see fine in the dark. But about like cats, do they actually like see, you know, in like if there's like a closed room, it's completely dark? That's something that I like never questioned or never like researched. If you put a cat in a completely closed room, right? I mean, I get like how night vision works in terms of like technology, right? Tiniest bit in the dark room, okay, but like tiniest bit is still not exactly like a room with like a closed room, you know? I don't understand how we pass wall solidness and we're using such terminology as particles. We didn't pass level above and already. Yeah, but like that's the thing. Like, why do you think that like they're see like I question your perception of levels? Are there actually levels? You know. So you're denying the existence of dark matter. Okay, then explain to me what is dark matter. See, like, it's not about like denying existence of something. It's about like questioning what the hell are you talking about, you know? It's kind of like, you tell me what is dark matter, how it works, or, you know, kind of like, show me dark matter, or tell me what it is, explain to me the situation with it, and we can talk about it, but like, also, the darkest shadows are cast by the brightest light sources, so you can say true darkness requires true absolute brightness. Perhaps? Ooh, wait a minute. That's just like an interesting thought, what the fuck? In a popular science film, potatoes grew in all directions in the dark. You mean like mashed potatoes? No, okay. Go look it up on the internet. Yeah, I'm not interested that much. For now. Right now we're talking about light. Also, I did want to talk about like gravity. I understand gravity as just to change the subject for a moment. Like, I understand gravity as not as people understand it. I wouldn't even say that gravity exists, because gravity is a situation where you have like something that pulls something else, and as if like you have like two solid objects and one is pulling the other, like as if like there's like a concrete force. But the problem with that is that like actually, whenever you examine one object and you see that it's like an environment, and then you see like another object, let's say like a human being or something else that is supposedly is being pulled, but whenever you examine what the two things consist of, you see that like those two environments are not actually like performing the task of pulling. And there's like another question, like, is someone being pulled, or is something pushing towards something else, or as if like is being like attracted towards? You can ask like many different questions about like how the supposed like mechanic even like works. Does it exist? And then there's like the whole situation with like, people describe as if like two objects and one is like pulling the other, but the problem is like that you don't have two whole objects. They're not like, they do consist of things. That's one. And another thing, there's like also like an environment between those two groups, like those two objects. And in this description that people provide, there's no environment. They just say, oh, the earth is pulling like everything to it, or like, oh, like a magnet is pulling like a piece of metal. I was measuring, but does it need to explain it? How do you understand object solidness? How you understand object solidness? What do you mean like object solidness? Are we talking about like solid state? Or are we talking about solid, non-solid, like something consisting of things and something not consisting of things? What exactly we're talking about? Because like in English language, it's it has like different meanings if we're talking about solid. It's not me who's using two solid objects to understand gravity. It's how scientists describe what gravity is. Or let's say like people describing as if like there's like a magnet and there's a piece of metal. And they say like a magnet is pulling the piece of metal to it. I already explained it. I basically said that like, what? Believe who? No, it's not about belief. It's that I don't understand the way they do understand it. So, the way they see gravity, I just disagree that gravity works that way. No, I don't. To me, gravity only would exist if an actual like pull or like an actual force would exist. But the force doesn't exist without like a scientific laboratory or some kind of like isolated presentation of the situation where they say that like, oh hey, you know, like one thing is pulling the other, you know. But the problem is that like one thing is not pulling the other. It's like a whole environment, you know, supposedly pulling like another environment. One, let's say like environment is something that's like a magnet, and another environment is like whatever is being pulled. But like whenever you examine this, like these like two environments, you also have to understand that there's like, in reality, there's like an environment like all around them and between them. That is not like empty space. There's nothing like empty in there. It doesn't even matter like yeah, like it's not an empty space. So the whole perception of something is like pulling something else. It's just a perception. Is empty space exists. Think about like let's say like two atoms or something like that, and the supposed like space between them, right? I disagree that empty space is empty. See, like think about it like this. Let's say like in vacuum, right? In vacuum, as I understand, or if I remember correctly, the space between like let's say like two particles or like two atoms or something like that, it's like it can be like really big, right? Or something like the distance, right? But the problem is that like we're already saying that there's like a space between them, right? So that already constitutes for something. Space between two objects or between two things is not empty. Someone saying that like empty space is empty is completely fucking misunderstanding the situation. You know? To say that there's like nothing and there's like empty space is basically saying as if like the two objects are not separated. Because there's like nothing between them, you know? Would space imply there are borders? Even if the content that space is empty, it still has borders, no? So it can be empty by default? I don't view people's understanding of Earth or of planets or of like vacuum or space between planets as objective. I view it as people don't even get like where does the Earth end and where does the vacuum begin. Is it like a gradual, is there like a threshold, you know, is it like a gradual, you know, some kind of like as if like not like a transformation, but like a change, or I don't know how to say it. As example, radiation have wave nature, but it can fill empty space. Is it particles? No. So space between particles empty or not? But we still need to like view as if like a wave is actually existent. So like it's kind of like, tell me what constitutes a wave, and we can like examine that. Like the problem is like saying like a wave, and is like a wave is actually existence, you know, like a wave. What is a wave, you know? What is a wave? What is it comprised of? How can one prove that there's like a pattern that makes up the wave? Doesn't matter like it's a sound wave or it's a radiation wave, etc., etc., you know? I saw somewhere that the definition of an elementary particle is the minimum possible interaction of fields. For example, two electromagnetic fields interacting generate an electron. Actually, I like this like description, Andrew, about like wave. See, like radiation has like a wave nature, but it can fill empty space. That's interesting. You know why? Because we can view it like this. Imagine like how, I guess, like in our world or like on our planet, you know, how usually, let's say, like space between two atoms is, right? As if like there's like still like space between them, right? Is it empty? Then imagine like space between like two things in a vacuum. Does it matter what the distance is? And that's like the question that I'm asking you. Does it matter what the distance is between two objects or like between two atoms or some kind of particles in vacuum? As opposed to, let's say, what is going on like here, let's say, like whenever like there's like, as if like the distance is like smaller. Does it matter? You know? Because, you know, like if someone understands it as it does not matter, then we can still say that like radiation, you know, is like exists there, right? And it's not that it's like filling empty space, let's say, but it's like it's, you know, like as if like creating a link, or it's like it's as if like radiation wave or something like that would be comprised of like how to say this, Jesus Christ, comprised of, let's say, like two particles that are just like, let's say, like they're like miles apart or light years apart, you know. The question is like whether also like whether the empty space is actually empty. That's the thing, you know. Yeah, and that's exactly what you asked. And that's what I wonder, but it's not, no, not that I even wonder. I just don't consider empty as empty. I don't consider space as being nothing. See? It's like we're already saying space. We're already talking about something. There's already like an interaction and some kind of like as if something that this empty space or this nothingness is. It's not that like whenever we say nothing that like nothing is actually there. Vacuum contains dark energy. This is exactly what causes the accelerated expansion of the universe. No, it's not empty. I placed something in it. Yikes, dude. Jesus Christ, dude. Leave it for your OnlyFans account. Does empty imply something? Does space was empty? Would you be able to hop from one galaxy to another in one step? Isn't distance itself a something? I can basically, the way I understand like distance is that like I think like I talked about this before, like and let's say like I would like make like an example. Let's say like we're in a room together, right? And the room is, let's say, 40 cubic meters on like 40 cubic meters or something like that, right? Or basically like a room is as big as a basketball field, okay? Let's say it's like that, right? And we're like in this room together, right? Does it matter where in the room are we to say that we're in the same room, like in the same space? Yes or no? And then we expand on that. We kind of like go further. Let's say the room is as big as our planets. Are we still both in the same fucking room? So like it doesn't matter like what the space is, how big it is. We are still in the same room. So let's say, based on that kind of like description, or based on that situation, let's say like I would say basically we're trying to examine like traveling or like covering distance, right? How then we approach distance or covering distance within a particular space which we view as we're already in the space. See, let's say like I'm already like in the room. Why do I need to travel like anywhere in the room? Or let's say, see, like even though like I'm not in some parts of our solar system, right? But I'm still in the solar system. Does that make any sense? It's not about like the possibility of traveling like some kind of distance. It's about like whether like traveling even makes sense. Are we actually covering any distance? Is there a point in covering distance? Is there distance between point A and point B? Do point A and point B even exist? This kind of like conversation. Here's another paradox. Individual elementary particles weigh practically nothing. Wait a minute, practically nothing or nothing? And also like how to learn whether it's like practically nothing or nothing at all. But when they combine to form an atom, the atom acquires mass. Wonder where that mass comes from? See, what's interesting about that I talked about mass before. Same as like, let's say like there's gravity, right? And that's how people understand it, is if like there's gravity, there's this whole like pull thing situation happening. That's fine. But like kind of like try to figure out like what the hell is mass. Does the mass exist? Why does the mass exist? Is the mass reliant on proving that something has mass through the existence of gravity? I always wonder if in an SSD or HDD that's empty and then you put 1000 gigabyte of data on it, it doesn't change weight, I think. Maybe it's super tiny, but I wonder where that mass comes from. Because aren't electrons or particles massless? So like whenever like you're asking questions like that, I mean like not just like Eurodemo, but like everyone right now, let's say, and we're talking about like some kind of like mass or something like that. You know, the question is whether mass is something actually existent, whether like the mass actually exists. Is something weighing something that people think it weighs? It's not about like our physical sensations. It's not about like us like pulling something up or something like that. It's like about, let's say like if gravity wouldn't exist, right? Or let's say like if we wouldn't feel gravity, right? And the gravity wouldn't pull something, would we feel the weight of something? See, like in a situation whenever like there's no as if like gravitational pull, suddenly the mass is non-existent. In a sense, like you're basically like you can, push something, you can pull it towards yourself, or I don't know, like somehow like do some manipulations, and like its mass might not even matter. Why is that? Is the mass actually something objective? Is like every part of a human being being pulled downwards in a sense, right, to the ground? Is every part of the human being pulled in the same way? Yeah, man, Hogsmeade is in mass basically by byproduct of gravity or something. Yes, byproduct of my mom intensely fucking. Yes. Okay, I need to piss. I'll be right back. You actually drank upside down? How does that like even work? You know? If anything, that sounds like a shit experience because like you're not like gulping down, you're gulping up. What the fuck? Will you be able to not eat and not drink if gravity allows it, lol? Mass is basically amount of something. No, like 1,000 feathers versus 1,000 gold coins, or a kilogram of leaves versus kilogram of steel. And weight is total sum of it. You guys ever tried drinking upside down? I wouldn't try it. It wasn't fun. What are you eating? Yeah, it wasn't the most clever idea. Yeah, dude, that shit was gay. Ooh. Fuck. No, I forgot. Shit. Wait a minute. Maybe I'm going to remember it. Mukbangers are king of Mazdan. They eat entire cow in one video. Yes. And then in another video, the cow eats them. And the cow, like, and the police arrives and they shoot the cow as if like the cow is a murderer, and you know, and people are fucking, and people are fucking sacred. Poor cow. Die, cow, die! And, you know, shoots her with a revolver straight in the fucking head. Unloads that 6-shooter. All goddamn bullets, dude. In 1 point. Oh, this is the question that I wanted to ask. Basically, to everyone, or like this is a question for everyone. If we talk about like observation, right, or like just our vision or observation, right? The question is, what we observe in the way that people perceive, right? No. How do I want to ask this? I guess I want to ask, like, do you feel as your vision, you know, your sight, your vision, your eyes, are as if like a tool that is objectively showing what we're like experiencing? And another question is like whether this tool, how do you compare this tool to everything else that the body experiences, and whether anything else can also be as if like also, if it can like also like provide some kind of like objective or some kind of like information about the world, you know? Zechariah thought your profile pic was an ogre spider, but it's a gorilla. It's a gorilla. Oh, it does look like a spider a little bit. It looks like a tarantula. Whenever like it's small, it does look a little bit like a tarantula. Bro, once again, so you think that if I apply paint to my paw and immediately touch the ball, that's transferring my handprint onto the ball, I don't have touched it? Yes, no. Again, the question is like, have you actually touched it? If you examine, if you would be able to examine like the touching points, is anything actually colliding there? Because people perceive touching as if like something collides with something else. But the question is like, does the touching happen? Hogsy, Google Ogre Spider. It only has those big round eyes. No. Really? It's not a yes or no question, Jesus Christ. You good, man? It's not a yes or no question. I mean, maybe for you it is, but not for me. Oh, yes, no. It's like, as if like I need to subscribe to the logic that it's like, oh, it's a simple yes or no question. Very similar, I must say, yeah. Ogre-faced spiders. Wait a minute, ogre-faced spiders. Oh! I finally see it, yeah, it does look like an ogre a little bit. They don't make webs, but they use web-made traps to suffocate bugs with it. Pressing it on them like a grill. What? What the fuck? That's interesting. Net casting spiders. Oh, they cast a web. They cast a web. So you choose no, okay, let's go, Jesus Christ. What constitutes touching? What constitutes wall? What constitutes you? Like, what are you saying, dude? If anything, you didn't touch the wall. You know, the paint did. If you even want to exercise this. Like, you're literally like saying ridiculous things right now. Like, what? Yes, they make traps with their own web silk instead of regular web. Trapdoor spider that makes a hole in ground and fake trapdoor to catch nearby prey. Jesus Christ. Is there like a Pathfinder fucking spider? Yeah, what kind of classes there are of spiders? Is there a fucking magician spider? There are a group of stick-like, elongated spiders that catch prey by stretching a web across their front legs before propelling themselves forward. Wait a minute, themselves forward? Wait, what? Their group of spiders a web across their front legs before propelling themselves forward. Themselves, not the web. What? Their front legs, these unusual webs will stretch to 2 or 3 times their relaxed size, entangling any prey that touch them. The posterior median eyes have excellent night vision, allowing them to cast nets accurately in low light conditions. These eyes are larger than the others, and sometimes make these spiders appear to only have 2 eyes. Ogre-faced spiders are the best known genus in this family. The name refers to the perceived physical similarity to the mythological creature of the same name. This family also includes the humped-back spiders, Menus. At night it emerges to practice its unusual prey capture method on invertebrate invertebrate prey, its eyes are able to gather available light more efficiently than the eyes of cats and owls, and are able to do this despite the lack of a reflective layer. Instead of each night, a large area of light-sensitive membrane is manufactured within the eyes, and since arachnid eyes do not have irises, it is rapidly destroyed again at dawn. Another interesting spider is trapdoor spider that makes a hole in the ground and fake trapdoor to catch nearby prey. Jumping spider is my favorite. They are cute. Lol, cute. Egg sack. That literally looks like a man's ball. Jesus Christ. It looks like a man's, like one fucking testicle. To be honest. Put it like this. Maybe somebody just has like a really small testicle. It's not necessarily shrinked. Yeah, what if their testicle is the size of a goddamn fucking, you know, some kind of walnut? Maybe it's a dwarf testicle, you know. Mine is the size of raisin. Okay, I'm not a physician. I disagree. Maybe you are a physician. To such very little degree that you say that you're not a physician, but you are, you know. This is a really good example that I have. Is somebody who tries to do some kind of like magic tricks, right? Is he kind of like a magician, like, even if he does them poorly? No, but hear me out, like, so we're like comparing, let's say, like someone who would call themselves like a magician, like a trickster, or that they're like a, you know, like a professional, you know, some kind of like magician, that they're doing like magic tricks, right? And we're like comparing that to someone who just started the first day. Is this person who started the first day, is he not a magician? See, like, just because like he's doing something poorly, does that mean that he's not doing it? You know, that's the big question. It's like, or let's say like I present like another situation. If somebody picks a rock 1,000 times and I pick up a rock once, see, like, am I not somebody who's picking up a rock, you know, as opposed to someone who picked up the rock like 1,000 times? See, like, you can describe it as a magician in the making. And I could like see, like I could like subscribe to that kind of logic. See, like I like the description personally better than saying that like you're like, let's say like you're not like a physician at all, you know, or like you're not like a magician at all, or like let's say like you're trying to jungle and you're doing it poorly. It's not that like you can't jungle, it's just that like you're doing it in a way that is as if like not good enough or something, you know. Same is a good way to describe, they use those terms in society too, like lawyer in training or something, or dentist. And I feel like that's like a way better description, or like more accurate, or as if like closer to the supposed truth than saying that someone isn't one before they receive like a degree, you know? Like before they like go for the whole training. Oh wait, I'm level 60. Let's say like we talk about like the touching bit, or like if anything is like actually colliding, you know, let's say like we talk about it further, you know, let's say, you know, I understand as nothing is actually like touching, but the question then is like, let's say just to go into another topic is like, are we actually touching the ground? Are we like, you know, like touching the ground whenever like we're walking on it? But I also would question then, like, if we're not like touching the ground, are we floating then? You know, are we just like in the air? And the funniest thing is that like if gravity would be as if like non-existent, or just like as if like lesser or something like that, something that people believe exists, then there would be a situation where, let's say, you would literally be floating. Cheers, man. Have a good one. Good night. They use the terms in society like lawyer in training or dentist. You see those Japanese trains, magnetic ones that use super cold things to levitate entire trains from the track, love mags or something. Yeah. I've seen those. I know about those trains, and it always like seemed like rather cool. And I already had like that kind of like idea before that, like, oh hey, something can as if like levitate in a sense, but not exactly on magnets, you know. Cheers, man. Cheers. Good night. Rodemu. What's interesting is that like this guy actually has like an interesting nickname. It's Zakradna Podkradnoi, which means, wait a minute, which means as if like his, fuck, I don't even know how to describe it in English. Yeah, so when you say you don't really touch something, would that train example be easy way to explain it to people? Not exactly, because the situation would be perceived as if we're talking about magnets, and the whole situation being like one as if like magnet or some kind of like power that is like as if like reversed is repelling another power, or however it works. I don't remember how magnets work, but like basically like as if like they're repelling each other. Oh, oh no! Wait a minute. Maybe no. Wait. I get. I guess like I get what you're pointing towards. It's like as if like if we examine every single thing and we perceive as if like there's like a magnetic field that every kind of thing like has, right? And kind of like there as if like there's like a particular situation where kind of like they're also like repelling each other, so we're actually like not touching, you know. I think only track is magnetic, the train itself isn't, but due to that super cold liquid it becomes like that, it floats despite its weight. But still, like whenever like you examine the situation of something supposedly, let's say like really, you know, really massive and fuck, how to say it, and heavy, Jesus Christ. Whenever you examine something that's like really massive and heavy, right? Let's say like it's super heavy, right? And then you examine the point in which it as if like touches the ground or something. The question is, you know, see, like again, the weight is being questioned even in that situation. Does the weight actually matter? You know, because like if we examine it, that situation, I can vouch for it, or I can, you know, claim that it doesn't matter what weight it is, still nothing is going to be touching. They're still not going to collide. Doesn't matter the weights. That can be happening. Why? Because like something heavy is not something one, but it's comprised of many things. And when those parts of something bigger, they kind of like as if like interact or try to collide with something else, you know, that's like a part of like a surface or some kind of like ground or something like that, you know, they're colliding only with that like small part. They're not colliding with the whole mass, you know. I think it doesn't touch the rails, but it touches something invisible to the eye, and kind of like if you put invisible yoga or medicine ball on ground and try to balance on it, and the more you try to sink into it, the greater its resistance and chance of falling. The rail is that just something invisible to the eye, kind of like if you put invisible yoga or medicine ball on ground and try to balance on it, and the more you try to sink into it, the greater its resistance and chance of falling. Oh. No, I never use like a yoga ball or like medicine ball. Invisible yoga. Oh, invisible. So you're touching, not really floating, but you don't touch the rails itself. See, still the problem is like of like what the fuck is touching, you know? See, like what are we taking as touching, you know? Like as people understand it, you know, as if like, oh, like I touched you, you know, like I poked you with my finger, you know, like I touched you. Like what, you know, what constitutes touch? That's like the question, because like we don't have like a particular like as if like criteria or something, as if like we don't necessarily understand what touching means, or like what is the method, you know. Touching is when you feel something, or there's friction between objects that is as close to touch as you can get. Okay, but like what if you don't feel the touch? Does the touch still occur even if you don't feel it? Right. I guess like that's also like the question. It occurs, but you might as well think it never occurred. Oh well, that's like another like thing entirely. You know, it's like what we believe is happening versus like what is happening. See, like, and that's why like I often question people's description of what is going on, because like what people believe is going on, it's like, oh, I'm conscious, oh, I'm noticing something, oh, I'm on autopilot and I'm not noticing anything, or I don't remember anything from 5 seconds ago. Like, is it actually objective, you know, whenever people like try to evaluate a situation? Unless you put a paint in your finger and confirm it that way, it touches the other side. But like if you have like no feel in your body, then you won't be aware you're touching. Even when seeing it, you need other ways to kind of confirm you touch something. Okay, you know. But the question is like, let's say like with touching the wall, like whenever you have like a paint on your fingers or on your hand, right? It's kind of like whenever like the paint is applied to the wall, is the paint touching the wall? Does it actually touch it, or is it just like on it and then it dries, but it doesn't necessarily, you know, as if like collide with it or does anything with it? See? And another thing is like, you know, like the whole situation presented as like paint touching the wall, you know, as if like paint is a solid object, you know, like a whole object. The wall is a whole object, and the supposed like interaction happens. Yeah, but sticking implies as if like they collide, or they're like as if like paint attaches itself to the wall. So the collision or something like that is like as if like implied. No? What do you think? I feel like sticking does like imply that something like that like happens. That's why sensation plays a huge role when it concerns touching. You ever try this yourself, trying to touch your fingers but just barely leave space? Yeah. Yes, but I always like question, you know, like personal, let's say like experience or like my experience, you know, whether that is like as if like telling me a story about like what actually is happening, you know, kind of like as if like does like a feeling like you know, a feeling or like a sensation, kind of like as if like does it like constitute um kind of like, I guess like you can say that like, oh, it's as if like proves that like something has occurred, like something has happened, right? But I guess like the question is like what exactly has happened, you know? Because another thing is like the whole situation with like perceiving yourself, you know, like perceiving as if like you have like arms and legs and they like move around like in space, right? And that's how people generally understand that. As if like, see, like, as if like feelings are proof of something like happening, you know? Something colliding with something, you colliding with something, you bumping into something, or you going around something, you basically like navigating space. And it was like fine and well for me, you know, like even this, but you know, as long as like we don't like go like into a conversation about, let's say, as long as we don't like go into a conversation about like what is like a human being, you know, like as long as we're like we don't touch on like time, space, distance, and things like that, because like or like motion, because then immediately like we're gonna like question like further and like as if like re-examine this whole like talk about like things like touching, you know, or like things colliding, or sensations being what people believe they are, you know. Human being is just a living creature that learns and adapts, but a human born in a cave raised by apes is vastly different to regular folks. I think the human part is when you actually learn regular shit as others do. If I can address like that point, then you know, like I wonder, you know, whether like supposed like imitation is actual replication of how someone does something. Being part is being alive or a creature. Hmm. Okay. But what would you consider like to be like? What would you consider like human? Let's say like whenever like we talk about like some people and like we call them subhumans. I know it's like for like humorous, like the intent is like kind of like to make it like funny, but like you know when sometimes like whenever we talk about people, do we actually you know like how much do we mean as if like they don't meet the criteria of a human being? And then the question is like, what constitutes for a human being, you know? Just like human organisms, or there need to be some kind of like requirements that need to be met, basically. You know, as if like there need to be certain things present in a human organism or in some kind of like behavior or something for us to be able to call somebody human. To be a human is someone born around other humans. To me, a human is just a human organism. Like, doesn't matter where it's born or where it lives or where it like does anything. It's you know, if a human being exists, then the human being is basically, to me at least, is it's just this like human organism. Doesn't matter how it develops or anything like that. Because if I'm going to like defend like where it kind of like develops, or like where it grows or something like that, then I'm basically going to be as if like biased towards like in a sense I'm going to be as if like defending some kind of like things like, you know, like human beings that like live in a city, like live like in a country, etc., who have like a family, etc., that they have like as if like some kind of like better qualities, or they have something better than, let's say, like a human being that's living in a forest and they live there like all of their life, you know. Yes, that's true too, but what I mean is the human part, or they say humanity, will learn from our mistakes or not, but stuff like regret, joy, etc. play a part in sharpening a person as a human. Wild animals don't care about that shit, they just survive and eat and fuck. We humans are just more fancy about it. Well, the thing is that like I definitely do disagree about like the comment about like animals, because see, like if I'm going to like agree with you, then I'm basically agreeing with the fact as if like humans have an objective understanding of how animals feel and how animals perceive what they do and how they exist. As if like human description of what animals do and how they behave is objective, right? And that's what I don't agree with. Even though like I get your logic, you know, like it seems, you know, as if like animals, they do these like particular things, but we judge them based on our understanding of what they're doing, you know, like we understand survival as doing particular things, and whenever we see as if like animals doing like these things that we perceive as the same, right, we believe that they are doing like a number of things, but they're not doing some things that we are doing, and therefore they're as if like lesser, or they're just different and stuff like that. Yes, animals are not that simple, I know that too, they got their own behaviors and whatnot, but in general sense what separates a human from animal to me is basically language, talking, culture, trading, both love and hate, etc. That's what makes humans, humans, animals can do those things, you know. But the question is like, let's say like, is love something that's real, you know, like what is love? Is it like love affection, or is it love like something else? Is it like some kind of like attraction or something like that? And then we question kind of like as if like the chemical part of it, you know. And then you can ask yourself like, is that thing absent from animals? Like do they don't have that? Do they lack that? And then if you're talking about language, I mean, then we can, you know, talk about like, do animals communicate? And animals do communicate. It doesn't matter what they do, like is it like body language or any kind of language, they make like a sound, or they make some kind of like eye movement or something else, they are still as if like conveying some kind of message, or at least like they try to, and another like animal perceives that in some kind of way, you know. Well, whether love is real or not, I can't say, but I can say the feeling around it probably real the same way a parent might really love their child, or you might really love your wife, etc. It's that feel or state of mind you get from being with them. You can call that love, I guess, but love is just abstract to me. Hate too, actually. Well, that's the thing, like, see, like, abstract. So there, like, whenever you mention like language and talking, it's like more like in the same like category or something like that, you know, like are animals like not talking? Are they like not communicating? You know, but they are. They are communicating, you know. Do they have like a culture? You know, you can say that they do, because they also have their ways of existing, their activities that they do outside of just like killing and that's it, you know. there are things that they do. It doesn't matter like whether they're simple or whether they're like different from what we do. Just because we do as if like more things, it doesn't mean that like animals don't have their own, in a sense, culture. It's just that like culture is not really applicable to them because culture is still a human concept. You know, if we're gonna like say like culture, then that's how like people, let's say like they believe that like animals don't have culture, as if like that's like a human thing. Humans can and do learn multiple languages, even animal ones. But the thing is that like, do they actually learn the animal language? Because see like how like an animal understands a particular sound or something is not the same way as a human being understands, you know, what they're basically trying to communicate to an animal. Like the perception of that like kind of like communication is going to be different. It doesn't matter kind of like what occurs between like two species or like between like two organisms. It's about like basically like, are you actually like conveying the message that you think that you're conveying, you know? That's how you understand the message, right? That's how you understand the sound. Or like a number of sounds. Is the filters to actually, yes, animals are but animals and pick up different languages as we do, and parakeets don't count, they merely mimic voices or noises? Yes, that's the thing, like parakeets, and that's exactly my point. See, like it doesn't matter like whether like a human being is trying to learn like animal language, or like an animal speaking like human being language. It doesn't matter because like they don't understand, they don't have like the same like perception or some kind of like perception of like concepts or of these words. So parakeets are not going to be like understanding our concepts or what these fucking words mean, you know. They're kind of like as if like playing around with these sounds, not necessarily playing around, but like, you know, they're using them, but they have like a different meaning for them. Yeah, you can say like reason, but like what constitutes for reasoning? How, like, it's hard to defend reasoning whenever, let's say, like I'm trying to talk to people and I'm trying to explain something to them, and I'm using the words of the same language that they do, but they just write off something that I'm talking about as nonsense, as stupid, as nonsensical or crazy. So where's the like the reasoning part, you know? It's not about like what I'm talking about or like what is the conversation about. It's about like whether the whole like reasoning even like works out. Oh, calming the situation or a person down. It's like a sweet talking guy that wants to jump from a bridge with TNT up his ass. Oh, dude, that happens like every fucking Sunday. Yes, humans can add do multiple languages, even animal ones. To me, a human is unique because by default, yes, a human isn't fit for survival. As a baby, it barely knows shit. An animal knows or learns a lot more at birth for survival. And that's the thing, like, it's not like better or worse. See, like the situation for birth, you know, let's say like an animal baby and like a human baby are like two different situations. You know, like you have like in one situation you have like a family that is going to raise you and is going to protect you, and in another situation, let's say like the family is going to protect you as if like less. You know. And the way like and the whole like dynamic in a family is just different, you know. And it's not like let's say like there's like a lion, right? But like can like a little lion, like a little baby lion, actually catch like a gazelle, right? You know, can he catch it? But I'm not gonna do orders completely. Forgot, and my friend will sleep soon. You kind of like need to like finish until like a certain point in time. Hmm. Another thing with humans, it's going to represent some reason with them, so sometimes the reasoning is not really about the reason itself as much as just calming a situation or a person down. It's like sweet talking a guy. Yeah, sure, but like that situation is just like one of many, in the sense that like you try to see like we're speaking like one and the same language, but you know whether you will be able to convey some kind of like meaning or understanding of like a particular situation that you understand to another person or not, that is like in the question. And you never actually like convey the same meaning or understanding, but you try to as if like bridge that gap, or like you at least like try to do that, you know. And it's more like for the other person, you know, if they're like someone who's jumping off a bridge, it's more about like the effort, and it's more about like not about like what you say, but about you being there, and them about them re-examining their situation. It's more about that. It's about like how you talk to them, like the tone, but it's not even about like what you're saying. It's more about like how they react to you being there, and how they react to again whenever they re-examine their situation. That's kind of like what I would say about it. And again, I kind of like didn't play any fucking games. Jesus Christ. I need to finish with this like whole fucking talking about this kind of stuff thing. Yeah. That's it, no more talking streams. Only gaming streams. What the hell is this? Level up? What do they mean about like... Oh, but like... Let's say I add 20 or 28. Yeah, that's not that much. That's not that much actually. That's really shit if anything. Asks for free talent fruit. Yeah. You should maybe make a talking stream sometimes, like Hogsy's Talking Corner, or Hogsy drinks virtual coffee and talks, and you see that Hogsy character putting its tongue in coffee. Okay. But I do have like that channel, dude, like which is like the reactive space, you know, which is primarily for conversing and examining topics, you know, all kinds of topics. But either way, still like what I observe like in these like conversations is that like I feel like it still is like not really, like it's active, but I'm just like comparing like to, let's say, like AI. Whenever like we're examining some kind of like, you know, some kind of like mechanic or some kind of like some kind of rule or something else or some kind of concept, it just happens like more as if like faster, in a sense. Like I read, you know, like a lot of things, like I also like type and address like a bunch of things and like ask questions and etc etc, and kind of like it's just like the progress is just it's pretty like I don't know how to say it, like it's just um it's pretty like rapid, I would say. It's pretty rapid. If it's active, you can set it to me, I'll follow it. I think you're already following it, no? Because you did like watch it like a few times. Although maybe you watched it on Twitch. Well, either way. That's like whenever like I'm gonna like actually like stream that. If I'm gonna like stream that. It's not even a stream, it's just like a fucking like picture as the background and me just talking. And me talking like to a particular AI like language model. Duel of Bonds, Training Ground, Critical Conquest, Golden Fleece, Void Realm. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. What's with the sound in this game? Like, did I turn it off completely? Oh no, I didn't. Strange. Oh, I get it. The headphones were fucking turned off. Is there sound here? Oh, there is. They queued me up for fucking bots. What's the point of like doing this? Oh, fuck it. Don't really care. Wait, it's over? How much power do I have actually? What are they doing? Oh, something dropped out of him. Ooh. Yeah, but but this is not pretty, like, this is not good. Dude, Australian order, this guy used his street name as his real name, so I took a look and his name is MD Shahriar Emun Shihab. Somehow he fucked it up. Hashiab, dude. Habibi. Hababu. Hababibu. That's my name, Habibu. Don't worry out, Habibu. Habibu Baobab. Okay. Oh, I cannot team up for that because I don't have like the 2K thing. Yeah, I don't. Or even Chan had me convinced he was from India at first till I checked his YouTube profile and it showed Russian letters, I think. Yeah, he was Russian. The only thing is that I don't understand like whether he was like a part of the group or like somebody that they knew or he wasn't, because nobody really confirmed it or like denied it. Oh, it's an adventure, Jesus Christ. It's an adventure. I still question the productivity of these like these kinds of like conversations. Yes, we talk about like these things, but like I haven't like as if like learned anything new. I haven't like heard anything new, in a sense. Like you were like the most active, and you were like saying some things like how you like understand them, or like what is like like your information, or to what information you had like access to, right? And I get it. Yeah, I guess so. It's not like they're not like, see, like it doesn't. What's interesting is that like it doesn't matter like whether they agree or not. is that they're like already presented with a reality that is like existence. So basically, I'm like bringing to them like a reality that they haven't like as if like seen or heard about before, in a sense. Which means that they're like reacting to it. Like the disagreement or how they react to it has nothing to do with like, you know, with the engagement or how it's going to affect them. So yes, they are going to be affected by what I've said. So yeah, in that sense, like I can agree with you. In that sense, I can definitely agree with you. It's not about the feeling of learning something new, actually. It's about like whether you're going to be exposed to something that's like new or like different, you know? Because like different is new. It's like someone can say like, oh, well, different isn't always new. But the thing about it is that, what the hell is that? What did I receive? Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, that's really good. Okay. Thank you. Maybe even it's even good for my build, or maybe not, I don't know. Let me just exit the dungeon. Of course, if you enjoyed or rather find it semi-interesting, it's worth it, I'd say, because all of us would be here regardless if you play a game or talk or both. When you say all of us, you do understand that it's like just me and you. Because everyone else, more or less, throughout the years, they have proven that they're not interested in me like playing games and talking about games. It's only whenever like we go like off topic or something like that. That's whenever it's they like enjoy their time here. Or it like as if like makes them stay, you know. Wait, is it like from one set? No. Oh, it's Magic Tamer. Ah. Oops. Oh shit, they brought like a bunch of likes. That's crazy. I also want to watch something. Yeah. Because I did like miss out like on a few things that I wanted to fucking check out these days. Yes, even though the conversation presents many interactions, there are a handful of recurring themes that kept. Oh, it's like whenever I ask for a summary. Okay. Whether sameness or repetition actually exists. Repetition does like also like touch on let's say like something what constitutes like a wave. This is probably the most persistent topic. Your position was roughly people talk as though things repeat. People talk about patterns, categories, identities, objects, words, persons, and events as though they stay the same. But whenever you examine any supposed instance of sameness more closely, differences appear. If you continue examining further, the similarities dissolve as well. Therefore, you question whether there is ever any genuine repetition, identity, or sameness at all. Examples you brought up: no two utterances of a word are identical, no two people are identical, no object remains the same for time, no two situations are identical, even the same object changes continuously. A recurring challenge you made was, if something is repeated, what exactly is the thing that repeats? Yeah. And I can like apply that logic to, let's say, like whenever someone says like, oh, there's like a wave, you know, ask like, or there's like a wave is like something like vibrating, you know, like it's like, okay, but like what is vibrating? Where's the like repeated action? But yeah, like in the summary, there's a bunch of fucking topics that I talked about today. Although this is like only summarized based on the last 3 hours of the conversation. Actually, it goes from here. Okay, so I have like these bracers, right? Okay. Wait, but like how much like nullification do I have now? Okay. Ooh. Lol. I was again teamed up with bots. No, wait a minute. What? I jumped, it didn't work. Oh, they didn't kill this thing. Hello? Jesus Christ, you fucking idiots. I didn't think that like I need to like do this, whatever this is, but yeah, sure. Whoa. What? Okay. Okay, then what the fuck did I receive? Okay, I feel like it's late. I'm just gonna like chill and like watch something. Yeah. I guess I'll just game tomorrow, maybe. What is that? What the fuck? They're giving me gear? Really? Yeah. What's with the fucking thing? Just... It's just like not functioning. Okay. Lol. Awesome. Alt F4 then. Either way. Cheers, man.